Welcome to another episode of Inside the Banjoverse. If you're new, you're very welcome, and if not, you're welcome back. I want to give a big shout out to all the patrons of the podcast, and if you would like to support the podcast, please go to patreon.com/Enda Scahill Banjo. While you're there, you may be inspired to learn the banjo, and if so, you're in the right place. There's a lot to explore, and I encourage you to dive in. My guest on this podcast is Mohsen Amini, a Scottish musician best known for his work with Talisk and Ímar. Anyone who has seen him in concert knows that he is a force of nature. To boot, he is also an incredibly nice guy. I loved this conversation with Mohsen, and I hope you enjoyed it too. All right, let's dive in.
Sweet.
And so we're just going to freewheel it. I mean, it's just a conversation. I'm curious. I know you for a long time, but we've met on the road. Give us a little bit of background about how a Scottish guy with an Iranian father is playing what we'll essentially call Irish concertina, for want of a better description.
Yeah,
Because concertinas are not falling off the shelves in Scotland, as far as I know.
no, I just found a little bit of a gap in the market, and I thought I'm going to exploit this. No, I started back when I was about 12 years old, Irish dancing. 12.
Let's start there.
Let's unwrap that box.
Because I have an Irish dancing history as well.
Oh, really?
Little known that I am I was going to say proud, rather odd owner of a silver medal from the World Dancing Championships from when I think I was 11 in an 8-hand. So now I'm absolutely fascinated. So let's start with your Irish dancing history.
I am the proud owner of a silver medal in the local Glasgow Fish. That is as far as it got. I loved it. My mum and her friends sent all their kids to Irish dancing, not through anything of being Irish or having Irish roots or anything, nothing to do with that. But there was a local club had started, and they thought they would send us over so then they could go meet up and have coffee. So we went down, and then one of the local cultist branches was playing. And as I like to do, I like to exercise the old ADHD every so often, and went down and just had a couple of goes on the instruments. And my really good friend now, Mary Campbell, she was running it at the time, and she said I could come and learn music at cultist for £1 and £1 for an hour. So it was nothing, because it was over. It was like over in Scotland, cultist was started as a way to give music to people that couldn't afford like lessons. So it was really good. So I went over and started doing that. Forgot about the dancing because I was absolutely useless at it, though I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And then started playing music. And I'm slightly glad because my career can now span more than hitting 35.
So, how were you useless at Irish dancing, Mohsen?
I tend to get distracted. Every so often. I was actually, to be honest, wasn't that useless at it. I was actually quite good at it. But the music came in about maybe like 6 months into dancing, and I thought I don't fancy the dance as much as the music. And I also made a lot of friends quite quickly playing music. So I was like, I just chose between them. I was like, I'll just do music. Do you know what I mean? And literally fell in love with it and absolutely adored it.
So this is age 12?
I think it's maybe 10, 11 is actually probably what it was. And then the concertina came in about age 12. Through no one else wanting to take it. They got a concertina into the branch, and everyone was trying it out. No, there was no teachers. No one knew what it was, what to do with it, and I was like, "I'll have me a bit of that." And I got a tune out of it when I picked it up, and I found a few notes and could play a tune out of it. And then Mary was like, "Just take it home." So I took it home, and then me and her, for the next like 3 years, would take it week about having the concertina. And we'd try and find out where the notes were and different things on the concertina, because the internet wasn't a thing that had a lot of resources back then anyway, never mind resources for a concertina. So I would come back. I remember playing every tune in A major with a G for like 3 years because I didn't know there was a G sharp in the concertina. Debatably, still, I don't know there's a G in the G sharp of the concertina, but that's a different thing. But no, for years did that. And then about 4 years into it, a woman, Katrina McCardle from the rival Cultus branch, came in and just basically said to me, Mary, in a very, very nice way, she came to teach us for a year and was like, these are all the things you're doing wrong, and these are the small few things you're doing right, and then kind of molded us back onto the right path for a year, and then let us get to our own devices.
So I've never tried to play the concertina, even though my sister is an incredible player. It seems to me like a mind-boggling mathematical equation. What were you doing wrong, and what were the tiny things that you were doing right?
Didn't have the right algorithms. Couldn't get it working. But every so often you get it.
You're messing around with a Rubik's Cube. What's your top time?
Top time Rubik's Cube is 1 minute 40.
Well, I got a 12-year-old son here who can do it in 36 seconds. So there you go.
Seriously, that's unbelievable.
And it's all it's learning the algorithms, which fries my brain. That's like, I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. It's like 6 algorithms, and then you can get to the end of it. But if you're really good at it, you can work out what algorithms you actually need. Because I do it in a little, I just do a little conveyor belt of like, do that one 6 times, do that one 6 times, do that one 6 times, do that one 12 times, then mess it up, and then do it another 6 times, and then make it work. They're great though. I love them. I absolutely love them. There's actually not much to them. It's just you need to know where to start, and then you're fine.
Yeah, I did them on YouTube, and I got to the last algorithm. And I'm watching it, and I still managed to mess it up. And I'm like, he's telling me what to do, and I'm getting it wrong.
It's a pain in the backside. You end up getting to the part where you start putting olive oil in the cube just to move a little bit faster to see if it changes your time. But you can't change what you know up there.
So relate this back to concertina for me.
Well, it's like this. Relating this back to concertina, it's like concertina. There's no rhyme or reason to how it works. It just works. It just goes. But no, I mean, it's a bit of a mental instrument, and it's just you have to figure. I think when Katrina came in to teach us, like the little bits that we got right and wrong, there's things for us that we didn't know how to do, like bellow control. Like it's a really big thing. Do you know what I mean? I never really looked into it for years and years and years, but if you have you generally have a scale pulled out, you can play any scale pulled out, and also any scale pushed in. So then you can start learning how to play tunes fully on the pull, fully on the push. So then when you find you've not got enough bellows, you've always got a way to bring it back in. Because you only want, I mean, like I stretch my bellows out for effect, like not for like theatrical, well, kind of for theatrical effect as well. So I mean, but it just so happens that. It is needed as well. Doing like big chord swells and things like that, you need that. But if you're playing like intricate pieces, if you're way out, there's no way. It's like getting a plectrum and having it like 14 centimeters long and try to play with it. Do you know what I mean? There's no control there. So that would teach me how to keep the concertina nice and tight. And then also teaching us where the actual notes were was a bit of a bonus. Do you know what I mean? But really, I just when playing the concertina, trying to figure things out and get good at them, I would just get little riffs and little patterns and just practice away at them, just to try and get the dexterity up. Do you know what I mean? And then you find that there's nothing that can really trip you up, because you know all the little stupid niche little patterns that maybe will only come up once in a blue moon, but it's there, it's under the fingers. Because there wasn't many. I know how like growing up, you listen to all like. Everyone listens to like the standard like concertina players, which is like Michael O'Reilly, Noel Hill, then like Niall Valley, then you get Poddy Grins, and then like all the ones growing up, and then it's like Edel Fox, there's loads and loads and loads of them growing up, but like there wasn't a lot of music from them all that you could access. I remember I used to have a cassette of Michael O'Reilly that I would play in my room, and then I got a phone, and then I recorded the cassette into a little audio file, so I had like a set list on my phone that I could listen to it, and I'd be in the school playground listening to the Nervous Man. And I was like, I think it's cool. I don't know what else think it's cool, but I enjoyed it. And then going on from that, because there wasn't many resources, I would try and listen to I'd listen to other instruments. and then try and emulate what they would do. So like on a pipes, you'd have a cran, and you would change the way you would do a roll based on the cran. The three-fingered triplet that I always do, that's what an accordion would do to do a triplet. It's a bit harder on a concertina because your buttons are little peas as opposed to having like logs of wood or logs of ivory. So it just made things like funner, and made you could expand out. I think not having a teacher meant you could try different things and have like a avant-garde approach to actually learning an instrument, which for me was the making of how I played music. Because if I had a teacher the whole time, I would be the same as that teacher probably, or I'd be heavily influenced. Whereas I've been lucky to get like a little bit of some influence and go around different players and learn little things from them. So I thought that was a really good thing in learning the instrument. But it also meant like because I would learn how to play based off of other instruments, like like fiddles who do different rolls that they can do. Like you can like Tom Callister does it, like he hits his pinky off and it's like drr, drr, or you get other ones that do like the sort of traditional roll and it's like da, ba, 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 ba. I don't know how well that's going to come across in a podcast what I just did there.
Excellently.
Probably. Yeah. The most clarity of anything I've said there is the ba 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 because you know it's nothing. But
so can I ask you just so a kind of a question that has a couple of different prongs to it, one, do you teach? But I've taught banjo for a long time.
Yeah.
And my observance of the banjo is that it's a difficult instrument. It's a physically difficult instrument. And so for a period of time, the general standard will say, now this is a very broad strokes comment, the general standard of banjo playing was in that kind of medium range where there was a lot of people struggling with the physicality instrument and struggling with the rhythm of it and so but and again this is just my observance, is that concertina players all seem to be of a very high standard. And so I'm talking about, like, say a 15-year-old banjo player, take 20 of them, and take 20 15-year-old concertina players. Concertina players musically, rhythmically, and technically are going to be way ahead of the banjo players. And I'm just, have you any thoughts on that? Is it because of the teachers that are around? Is it the instrument?
I don't know. It's a really, really difficult one. There could be the easy suggestion, like what I would think nowadays is concertina players, they do tend to have like an incredible rhythm because you have a bellow that is a lung. Do you know what I mean? So it's actually built into the concertina. If you start thinking about the concertina as, I mean, you can get right into this and be like, it's like a body and it breathes and it has a heart and it has a pulse. It does. Do you know what I mean? Actually,
no, I'm all ears. Keep going.
Yeah, it really does. So if you start thinking about it like that, it is easy. No matter what you're doing, if you've got rhythm, you can pulse it and you can feel the pulse. Whereas the banjo, it's not got the same pulse fit. Like you are, if you slip up with hitting a note, you're out of sync with yourself. If you slip up hitting a note on the concertina, your bellow's still going. Do you know what I mean? You're still pushing in that direction. So it might be there's something like that for the internal rhythm. Also, maybe getting into the modern time, banjo is seen as quite a cool instrument in Ireland for like young lads. Do you know what I mean? And they all try and play fast and cool tunes. Whereas in Ireland, concertina is not like, it's not a cool like Wild West instrument. That is like a sit down, chillax, and play some groovy music. And also like you have like Micheál O'Reilly is like the king of swing. Do you know what I mean? But he's just got his groove. Like he'd be like, as concertina players go, like for me, like I know like this now Valley's like king of like the cool, the triplet and all the rest of it, and then Micheál O'Reilly, it's like the swing and the groove and the feel is beautiful. Remember that was he was my guy growing up. I was like, that's where I started loving concertina. And I think that maybe it's maybe slightly to do with the who is influencing the players as well.
Where does Simon Thumir come into all of that for you?
He was like a total wild card. He was great because do you remember that thing FileZilla? Do you ever get FileZilla? Do you remember like the great raid of FileZilla? It was like back in like 2010 or something like that. And somebody, so I'm not going to say names, but somebody had a FileZilla, which is like a big massive Dropbox that had every single album and trad on this, and then somebody who remains nameless that plays the pipes, gave me gave one of my friends a copy of the password, and then that got passed around, and I got a copy of the password, and every single person that tried to enter a copy of this password, which like was just like the biggest. It's basically like Spotify before Spotify. So everyone had all like just randomly it was like every single album in the whole of trad. It was unbelievable. And then I just felt like I just download and got every single thing. So then at that point I got like I figured out who like Simon Toomere was, who like Fluke were, who Lunasa were, like all these incredible bands when all their music had already been released as well. So Simon Toomere came into the mix at that point, and I was like, holy hell, this is amazing. He has one album called A Big Day In, and it is absolutely incredible. He also does this. I'm quite into like in a studio. I'm like, we'll go in, we'll do a couple of takes, and then we'll make sure those takes perfect, and then move on. Whereas like Simon will go in and he'll be like, let's get it all done today. I want it to be exactly the music I'm playing. I want it to be like it's so like it's great, but it's him playing. Do you know what I mean? And it was just amazing. It was absolutely incredible. I'm pretty sure they recorded the whole thing in a day, and they did one tune called like the Drunken Sailor. I think is it the Drunken Sailor? Saying the Drunken Sailor and playing the concertina sounds very, very, very like sounds awful, but it's like the most technical piece of music. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. But also Simon, when I was younger, he was judging a fish, and I did some of the concertina. I came first because it was just me, as it was pretty much every single time I entered the concertina, unless there was two people, in which case I would genuinely come second every single time. I don't think I've ever beat someone on the concertina, which is it's mental. I was like, literally, these people played the concertina as their second instrument, and they were just like towering above me. I'm like, how can I not get anything in these competitions? But it made me drive. It gave me drive. Anyway, Simon was Simon was judging one of these competitions. And he totally believes in not you know that little analogy of like think outside the box, and then the ant's running around, and then you draw a circle around it, and the ant's stuck in the circle, and that to an effect, well, it's a thing.
Okay. I'd like to hear more about that. You described it pretty well. I get the idea.
I tend to be very good with my descriptions, very clear, very to the point. But he's like, he just like wants you to think outside the box. So in Cultus, obviously, the competitions they don't want you to, they need you to play a certain way, and it's all regimented, and it's got its positives, and it's got its many flaws. But that's what it is. Whereas Simon's like, just expand, just think, don't stay regimented in this thing. Just think outside the box, do your thing. And then actually was like, come round to the house, and he just invited me around to his house a couple of times. He just gave me like just for free, just gave us some lessons just for the crack, and had all these like weird and wonderful ways of doing music. And the first thing from all these weird and wonderful ways, he was like, just start playing that tune, but just put no ornaments in it. And then you start being like, oh, you're not really in control of what you're playing. You only realise when he's trying to take everything out that you can't help it. It's like a nervous tick putting things in, and then when you do take it out, you start getting more control. So it helped me loads in like different ways. Do you know what I mean? All these like frantic players that you think are just like, oh no, play like this, play like this, but actually like just bring it down and be as controlled as you possibly can, and then add the stuff. Do you know what I mean? Bake your cake with some flour instead of
That's fascinating to me, and it puts a lot in context, because as when we were kids and doing the competitions, and of course I struggled massively in the fla because I was in Egypt, and I couldn't be held back. It sort of rubbed me up the wrong way that I had to play in a certain way. So instead of that, I would start to self-sabotage by playing crazy stuff and not winning a fraction of what I could have won. But I was delighted with myself as well at the same time.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Over the years, would have looked at the Mike McGoldricks and the Simon Toomeres and so many other musicians that were playing Irish music. They weren't from the island of Ireland, and they came with a freedom.
That's true.
Because they weren't limited by the strictures that were placed on the overall tradition in Ireland by cultists who do fantastic work.
Yeah, it's a funny one. It's actually, I remember when you found out like Mike McGoldrick, John Joe Kelly, Desi Donnelly, Ed Boyd, all English. It's like they're all from there. And then even I suppose even there's a lot from the north. They still have cultists to the rest of it, but the north are kind of they're like Scotland. Do you know what I So it's amazing that it's really interesting to look into that and see that maybe Cultus is good. I've always thought Cultus is good until a point. I think they're really good for teaching because the standard of musicianship in Ireland under 18 is unparalleled anywhere. Do you know what I mean? If you come to Scotland, I mean, people are great under 18 over here, but the difference is, I even felt it when I was younger. I was like, I can't, there's no way I can match anyone over here. Do you know what I mean? I will try, but there's no way I could even be in a par. But then when people go over 18, they keep, I see Ireland stay there, and then the other ones keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. So I think I've always said Cultus is amazing until you're 18, and then after that, you've made your friends, you've won your flies, go make some music.
Very interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Are all concertinas the same? Could you pick up a concertina anywhere in the world and know where the notes are?
You can for the first 30, maybe.
That's loads of notes.
Well, that's what you think, but not the notes you want.
That's more notes than on the banjo, for crying out
I know, yeah.
loud. First 30.
It's a lot of notes, a lot of pushing and pulling. But well, there's obviously famously Jeffries and Wheatstone layouts on concertina, and the biggest thing in it is just there's like opposing C sharps. Do you know what I mean? So one of them has a C sharp that pulls, one of them has a C sharp that pushes. That's basically it for the first 30 buttons. After that, you get a lot of people. So I've got a 38 button concertina. Generally, concertinas go from, you can get 20 buttons, but there's no point. Don't get a 20 button. If you're going to get a 20 button, just don't. Just get a button accordion. If you want 2 rows, get a button accordion. That's all you need to do. But I mean, there's the 30 buttons are kind of a standard. It goes up to 38, and there's 2 layouts. I think there's maybe a few layouts, but for myself with the 38 key, I thought there was improvements to be made. I thought there was a few improvements that could be made. So then I got in touch with Sutner and I made my own layout for the other 8 buttons, which made the concertina fully chromatic, bar like 4 notes, up 4 octaves, which for an instrument that size is absolutely incredible. And it opened a few new options. So if I was going to do a Talisk gig and my concertina broke and use someone else's concertina, it would be quite difficult to play it to the standard. I could, and you could get away with it, but it's quite difficult. And then the feel of them are all so different. It's like with every instrument, it feels different. The whoop, like a flute, you have to blow harder, blah 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 blah. The action's too high in a banjo, but I find generally concertinas are quite stiff. If you've got an old concertina, which a lot of people do have, like your Jeffries and your Wheatstones, and they're quite hard to play, which might also be a deciding factor in the way people do play, because it is harder to play these older Jeffries, and that is a sought after instrument in Ireland, and everyone gets a Jeffries. It can be also lightning quick. I've got Jeffries that is faster than anything you've ever seen in your life, but I've also played them, and I'm like, I couldn't get half the speed out of it. So to answer your question, yes and no.
Are you at the technical level that you want to be at?
You're never at the technical level you want to be at, and you never will be. You're never ever close to it. I remember one time being like, I don't know what I can do now to become better. And then I sat down, and I genuinely sat down for ages, and I was like, I don't know what to do, because I didn't know what directions to go. I didn't know at all. And then I just something clicked one day, and I was like, oh my god! And then I found out that I was just at 3% up the ladder. It's a constant struggle, but I love it. It's great.
Your biog, which I read, says you were studying chemical engineering and decided to be a full-time musician. Just talk us through that transition, because that's pretty fascinating for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I actually started in school. I was going to do medicine. I was always going to do medicine, and then in 6th year, I did a first aid course. Saw some blood, fainted, and that was that. So I had the UCAT you have to go to. I'd been studying for the UCAT test, and then my friend, I had everything ready to go. I had it all ready to apply to all the 5 unis, and then my friend at the end of it, when she found out I couldn't do it, she was like, "Why don't you just do chemical engineering?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool." But I love maths. I'm quite good at maths, and I really enjoy math. And I'm good at chemistry. I did all 3 sciences at school, so I was like, I could fit into that, no bother at all. went to Strathclyde Uni to do chemical engineering. Was there for like 2.5 years. On the second year, you have to do 6 lab reports and all 3,000 words each. And this comes back to the FLA ruining my life again. So it was on the night before the FLA, and everyone was asleep. And we're in the house. My mate was round, and I was finishing the lab report, and I was just like, cool, feels not finished it. He was like, can we just go down to my house, fall asleep, and we'll go to the FLA in the morning? And I was like, we can do that. I was like, but I need to finish it. I was like, I need to finish this, and you submit them all at the same time. So I finished it 18,000 words later, finished it, and then he was like, right, let's go. And I was like, woo, let's go to the FLA. Closed my laptop, thrown it up in the air. I was like, oh, this is amazing. Woo, we're going to the FLA. And then went round to his house. Why I went round to his house to submit it instead of submitting it when I finished it, I do not know. Went round, opened my laptop, and there was just this folder that was broken in half. And it was like, your hard drive has crashed. And that was it. 18,000. I took it to that. Nothing. There's no saving it. So then I failed the lab, and I was like, I've done all the work. I've done the labs. You have to log so many hours to do it. So and then I went back, and then so I had to obviously, that was just like a kind of like sidetracky bit of it. I had to just reset that one in the third year, and then going through it, I was like, I don't really enjoy this. And then got out offered halfway through the year to do a dance show, which will remain nameless as well, because I got paid like £36 a night or something like that. But I was playing guitar on it, so I think like something like €200 a week you were getting for this dance show, doing 6 shows or 7 shows a day, and getting your breakfast provided. That was it. So when I bought a guitar for like something like £1.5 grand, bought all the pedals for like £300. Then got all my stuff, so like £2,000 later, had this ready to go, and then the tour made less than what the guitar cost. So I ended up coming back from this tour with like £300, but it was my out. It was my way to be like, I'm going to do music. So did that. Slowly left uni without telling my parents.
I'm still tickled with the tagline. Experienced musical slavery inspired me to become a full-time musician.
It is that. That's exactly what it is. That could be the title of the podcast. But we what was it? So did that. Slowly left uni. When I came back, I was like, I'm going to need to. I was sitting at home, so I didn't really need money, to be fair, because I didn't have rent. But you need to be doing something. So my friend, who helped run the Coatless branch, ran a roofing company, and he said I can work for him any day I want. So I ended up becoming a roofer for like 3 years. Was doing roofing, and instead of like having like a full-time job there, I worked full-time. Like it was like we would be going out at like 6 in the morning and get back at 6 at night, roofing away. And I did genuinely love it. But he was like, you can do this, and then whenever you have a rehearsal, a gig, whatever, you can get all the time off you want. You won't get holiday pay, but you can get all the time off. And I was like, it's just like gigging. Do you know what I mean? You get paid for the gigs you do, you don't get paid for the gigs you don't do. So did that for like 3 years. And Mum slowly found out that I wasn't at uni from the fact that I was coming back with roofing gear on every single day. I could have kept that secret. I could have kept that secret until today. But she's a regular listener to the podcast. She's going to find out now.
Hey, Mum, surprise!
I know.
Not in college. All these years later.
I know. We're failing for 14 years. But so I was doing roofing, and then that was going really well. And then I would equate a gig. So on the roofs, we were getting. I've done a lot of things for not very much money. So we were getting like £45 a day on the roofs. So when I got like a session in Glasgow, I'd be like, oh well, if I get a session, I can have the day off. Hilariously worked in. I was like, if I go for a night out, I can get the day off, which is kind of the perfect thing that everyone's always wanted in their life. Do you know what I mean? You go out, don't need to work. Great. So we go out, and then I slowly like build up having sessions, and like you'll be getting like 7 days a week of music money, and then slowly being able to. That's the dog. The dog wants to be involved. She's pretty yappy. But she's
yes,
cute.
Dogs are.
She's cute. But to us, I'm going to tell her shush. To us.
Okay.
She heard. So I slowly built it up with that. And then it got to a point where the guy that was it's Phil Doherty. Phil Doherty, he's a really good friend of mine, and he was co-owner of the roofing company. And then we'd tell everybody, because his son, I played music with his son as well. I'd be telling everybody about how I played music, blah blah blah. And then we do some gigs, whatever. So everyone would know that I was the person playing music in the building site. And then every time the gaffers would be like, "You need to get out of here." It's like one of those like, you need to get out of here. You need to go and spread your back. You need to go. You need to leave. You need to leave." It's like, you're wasted here. You're wasted here. And then, being honest, it's hilarious. Me and my friend were on the roofs. We're like, "Oh, we're destined. We're destined for different things. We need to leave the roofs and we need to go. We need to go and fly our wings." And hilariously now, my mate is now a producer in Netflix, and then I'm touring the world playing music. So it actually does work out.
Wow. So thank God for all those old guys living vicariously through the two young roofers. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, but it actually all hit ahead after when I entered the Young Musician of the Year. After that was my last week roofing, and then after that, I never roofed again. I just played music the whole time. So it's been through quite a lot of things, and I've really enjoyed them. It's been really, really, really fun. I also taught you like also doing the roofing. You're working so hard, and probably a lot of people like getting into music that haven't done any other jobs. Maybe don't haven't realised like the worth of like getting £200 for a ceilidh or something like that. Do you mean it's like £200 is almost a week's wage working 12 hours a day on the roofs? Do you know what I mean? So you do start appreciating money a lot more, which I think is pretty important, to be completely honest. So
yeah.
you close that.
I agree wholeheartedly with that.
Yeah.
I had a day job for 16 years prior to
Yeah.
we Banjo 3 taking off. So I know what it's like to put in a 40-hour grind. And
Yeah, I know. Like actually working.
yeah.
Because it's not working, is it? There's
Well,
no working involved.
I did it and did 2 gigs a day and taught banjo lessons at the same time as well. So it was,
Oh God, yeah,
yeah.
that's a heavy schedule. That, to be
It's
honest.
it's a one-way route to the psychiatric unit. That's what that is.
I know, but then all your friends are there.
all the other banjo players.
I know.
And the guy is trying to figure out where G sharp is on the concertina. I hear you.
I couldn't find I can't find G sharp. I can't find the psychiatric lyric. Oh God, nah. But it's good. It's good. And now we're absolutely flying, having a great time.
Yeah, Talisk is flying.
It's honestly it's went it's honestly we've been going for ages now. Like it's been like 7 years now. We've completely changed our lineup since it started, which I'm trying not to look into too personally. It's hard to avoid the facts, though, isn't it? Nah, I mean, I guess it has changed. Like, cause like Craig, we started me, Haley, and Craig started it. We're best of friends, still really good friends. And like, I talk to Haley every day. I can't get rid of her. Can't get rid of her. But it's because when we started it, we didn't have a like. As probably not most people, because some people can get agents straight away, and then they can figure out maybe what they have to do. But if you don't have like any like the management or agents or anything, it's really hard to figure out what to do. You just kind of just trying to throwing muck at the wall and hoping it sticks. But we had a really good time doing it. We were lucky enough to win a few awards. We won a folk award like 3 months into the band forming, which sprung us into gigging. We got like after that you got the Cambridge Folk Festival, Cropper Day Festival, and Towersey Festival, which are all like 5 to 10,000 cap festivals. And for a band that only had 2 sets, it was great and quite daunting as well. And then maybe because I remember we did Towersey, and something that we got after like the travel down in a car, we got something like £1 a gig. Is what we actually made. And maybe that was representative of what we were worth because we only had 2 sets anyway. So we wwere just busking along. But no, it was. I mean, like, I do believe that the money should probably go up from these festivals for bands coming in, to be honest. But the opportunity to do it was very good for us, and we managed to make. We made a good relationship with Cambridge, and we always go back to Cambridge quite a lot. And like, I mean, like 3 years ago, we closed our main stage on a Saturday night, which is like it's an amazing experience, amazing gig to get. So we've done quite a lot of fun things through that, but we learned as we went along quite fast. And then even when we came on tour with Yous, I was like, I've never seen merch sold so well in my entire life. I saw Virgo like a week ago, and he just saw the merch set up, and he was like, "Interesting." I'm always looking. I'm always looking.
Where I mean that was kind of leads into my next question is like where do you sit with the whole art versus business?
I mean, they go hand in hand, don't they? If you lose the art bit, then it's going to be hard to do the business. Is kind of how I see it. But I mean, it depends on what you. I suppose it depends what you want to get out of music, doesn't it? Everyone wants to. I mean, everyone wants their art to thrive. So then you push as much as you can into that, and then naturally the money then would go up, so the business thrives. So like I mean, they're both like you can't really have you can have one without the other actually, but if you're into your music, you can't have one without the other. I would pick art over business. If someone said you can get nothing, but you can live a stable life, you can play whatever you want, I'd be like yeah. Or you can be a millionaire, but you can't play that. I'd be like I'll take the art over it because that's how I got into it. Otherwise, I'd just be a chemical engineer. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. But I do think, like I've learned a lot from like yourselves and different bands that we've toured with. As like you have to be really savvy with business, or you're not going to be able to push your art to the right places anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I think you really have. If you don't have somebody driving at the helm with a good business mind, or even an agent or a manager that can push that side, then it's going to be quite difficult to make your music just make it happen. Do you know what I mean? Take it to different places. You'll end up just doing the same thing over and over and over again, and probably getting bored. Do you know what I mean? So it works. It works in two ways. But I see them working hand in hand, and there can be a beautiful relationship between them both.
Do you enjoy both aspects of it?
I do. I enjoy both of them. A lot of people really don't. I've talked to like me and David Foley, like years ago wanted to. Not that we're absolute like geniuses at how to start bands, but I mean, it's pretty good at starting bands. I started about 100 bands when I was trying to make Talisk, and we were like, let's just start a business where we can just like tell bands, not to make, not even not literally not to make money, just to be like almost like consultants, free consultants that you would come and say, I want to make a band, what should I do? And I'd be like, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And that is all the basic steps to making a band. And then we did talk to some people and do it. And but people generally don't realise that they do work hand in hand. You have to put this bit of effort in. Have a lot of people like I'm an open book, so I'll tell you, there's only one thing I won't tell anybody anything about. It's like this guy that does our graphics because I love him. I love him. He's mine. I want him. I need him. I'm like, to be fair, I want him every single week, giving him something new to do. But I'm like, that sort of thing. I was like, I don't want someone to steal the style. But anything pedals, how we make things, like sponsoring videos, all the rest of it, I will tell anyone anything at all. I remember some people were just like, why do you not just why are you giving away all the secrets? I'm like, because it doesn't matter if you give them all away. They still have to do it. Do you know what I mean? You can tell me how to play the banjo. I'm not going to be able to play like you. Do you know what I mean? Unless I put in like 20 years of work. Do you know what I mean? And there's that bit that people don't get when they're making a band or making music. And if they did, like, there would be, there's so much more, the scene would be absolutely humongous. There used to be a glass ceiling, a really, really strong glass ceiling in the trad industry because people didn't do shows, people did gigs. Do you know what I mean? But now people are changing it, making it slightly, like, it's theatrical. Do you mean a gig's theatrical? Do you mean? And now, like, with Talisk, we've got like a light show and all the rest, like, it's massive light show. It's like you've been at a techno rave. Do you mean? So, like, if we were playing in, like Lower Tillsbury Arts Centre, like insert random name art club. Be a really different gig. So now we have to like base it around what we're doing. So I mean, the glass ceiling of the genre has been completely pushed. And if more people got into the business side of it, it'd be unbelievable. It'd be massive. Trad music would be humongous. Do you know what I mean? Imagine Riverdance didn't have a business mind. Irish music wouldn't be a thing.
That's right.
I mean, be gone.
Do you have speaking of business, do you have like a 5-year plan? Do you have places that you want to get to? Are there steps on the ladder that you're aiming at?
We didn't for ages because actually it's when we got started with our new sound engineer Steve Richmond. So Stevie, he runs a business called Coda and he does the Chili Pipers and all the rest of it as well. And he was like, if you find yourself doing all the work, then there's nobody there. If you find yourself doing, you're like sending the merch and doing the emails and doing blah blah blah. It's like there's nobody thinking about the bigger picture stuff at the other side of it to push you to the next level. And I was like, I never thought about like someone actually having to. I mean, like learning as I go along. Never thought of it as being someone has to sit down and say, "Oh, we want to do this. We want to push this to this next place and get there." So it's only in the last year and a half. We've always had like small, not small. We've always got massive aspirations, but like small steps. So like our like doing the tour reviews, but like we can do our own tour and then push it that way. And then that was a 2 year plan. Do you know what I mean? We've always had like little 2 year plans, and it's only now we're starting to get into like having like a 5 year plan. So now we do have like markers, and maybe to be fair, I'll be being honest, it's like a 4 year plan is what we've got at the moment of where we want to push things and different, because you have to like we've got ideas for like collab tours and things like that, and like big things to push us. And in the UK, we like maybe like 3 years ago we were doing like 200 caps and selling out some of them and not selling out other ones. Now we're at going up to 600 caps and selling out like maybe like 60% of a lot of them. Like so some of them maybe 200 to 600 caps, selling out 60% of them. And then we're like, how do you get that to the thousands? And that's where the 4 year plan has came into place, and like you can team up and make things happen. So now we have that in place, which is like which, I mean, if we knew that at the start, it probably have accelerated us a bit faster. Do you know what I mean? Just like in lockdown, people are doing like videos and then doing collab videos, and it's like, oh, there's actually different ways to achieve like your follower count or blah blah blah, whatever you want to get. So yeah, it's on the right track now, and we've figured out different ways to accelerate music. Even as simple as working with a promoter. Do you know what I mean? Don't put a gig on yourself. Put a gig on with somebody that's put a gig on.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's so simple, but it just takes somebody being like. We also have to get to a stage where someone would want to work with you as well. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it just takes someone just being like, well, why don't you do this? And you're like, oh, that's a good idea. So Talisk, we've got a good sort of things, good plan of things happening, and then we've got our 10 year anniversary coming up as well. So potentially, well, I'm not going to say what we're going to do, but we've got big plans for a big event, which will hopefully involve a lot of people. So
and Haley, my favourite.
Yeah, like I was chatting to the other day about it. It's obviously going to be like we'll get everybody that's been involved as well involved. Haley the other day was like, I was chatting to her and she said we're playing up in Aberdeen, so she's teaching up in Aberdeen now. And she said to me, she's like, he's coming to Aberdeen. I was like, yeah. She's like, can I get? And because I always put in, like Haley obviously has like unlimited access. She's got the Black Nando's card for Talisk. And she was saying, she said, can I get like a +4 for the guest list for Aberdeen? And I was like, only if you tell me you love me. And she's like, just you remember who started this band. It's like, damn, don't tell anybody that. I'll just tell everyone in Enda's podcast.
Do you like touring?
Love it. Absolutely love it. I do love it. To go into it more and more, because we've got Imar as well as Talisk. It's like the touring does kind of they merge into each other. So you can be gone away for. I mean, you can be gone away for like 2 or 3 months at a time. So that. I remember talking to you, like, 'cause it's like talking about being away from, like, you've got like a family. Do you know what I mean? So it'd be harder. That'd be harder for you, definitely, than I've got like a relationship. I've got a girlfriend, and that's hard. But a family is harder than that. So I do imagine. Well, we're kind of in this at the same time because Graham's got a child and twins on the way now. He's going to have twins. He finally got twins in the way. So
he's going to need that 4 year plan.
He's going to need that 4 year plan. You mean that 4 year exit?
Or a 14 year plan.
Yeah. He's got an exit strategy. It's become an accountant or something like that. But do you know any guitarists coming? No, Graham is not. We're not letting him leave. He's staying.
He's too bloody good.
He's brilliant, man. But I suppose I don't mind being away a lot. I do like being home and the rest of it. And after, like, I would say, like, after like COVID and mum getting really ill, I do like being home a lot more. Because like you want to spend time. I took it for granted. Like, really took it for granted before, but now I don't take it for granted. Like seeing my family and seeing things like that, because you don't have that. You won't have that forever. Do you know what I mean? So you really like. I don't think until you've had something really bad happen that you realise how much you need it and you should be there. And And don't live with don't live with regrets. I'm getting wee teary. I always get teary when I think about that. I always do.
Oh yeah, it
But,
makes total sense.
yeah, but that would hold. It doesn't hold me back from touring, but that would always be on my mind. I don't want to be away for too long. But it's quite easy with Talisk because Graham has a child as well. So he's like, he's like, I don't unless it's financially worth it to be away for that extra week on tour. Then why are we away for that extra week? Why don't we just split it up and do it in the next tour? You don't need to be away for more than 3 weeks. Do you know what I mean? You can be away 3 weeks, come back for a couple of days, go back away for 3 weeks. There's nothing. You sort your own schedule. You know what I mean? We can only not sort out festivals, but festivals are on the weekends. So I love it, and it can get quite a bit much after a while. But I think we've made it happen in a way that it doesn't ever get too tiring. I always enjoy it, and also when Talisk go off tour, I get to go on tour with Ímar, and the crack is honestly incredible. It's amazing. Do you know what I mean? And it's really different crack to Talisk. Do you know what I mean? The Talisk crack is unbelievable. I love it. I love both sides, and you get a complete. It's just like seeing, and you know, if you hang with the same person all the time, you're like, cool, but I know all your jokes. I don't know his jokes. I'm going to listen to them. So it keeps it fresh. It keeps it fun. I think if I didn't have two, though, I would find it quite difficult always going away because it would become the same thing all the time. It'd always be really fun, but I just love that a different dynamic in your life. Do you know what I mean? You can have it from like, you go home and you go fishing. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, your fishing is like, I don't know, but I imagine it's your other outlet where you're like, oh, this is a really good change of dynamic. Whereas fishing's my Imar. I love that. You know what I mean? Things like that, I really enjoy. It makes touring much more fun and much more sustainable on the long term of like a mass tour of being away for 3 months. So to answer the question, I absolutely love it and will not be stopping anytime soon.
Nice. What do you do to unwind? Like, do you have a fishing that's not Imar? Because a lot of folks that I'd say, what do you do when you're not on tour? They go, I just play music at home.
I know, yeah. Unfortunately, I just end up like my people that I go out with when I get home are like Benny and Ryan Murphy. So like whenever we get back from a tour, we all meet up, and it's just like being on tour back again. So I don't know. I go to the gym quite a lot, but I do just play music, to be honest. I don't. To be honest, when I come back home, I don't really play that much music. I just go and see my friends. I mostly my outlet is like a social life. As much as music is like the most sociable thing you see in those people, I just love seeing my friends when I get back. Because we're only back. I remember one year I was only back like home, like I slept in my own bed like 6 times or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So I think whenever I come back, I'm like I want to be present with all my friends and keep that going. So that going for coffees. I don't really drink coffee. I don't care much about coffee, which is really, really different to the wee Banjo 3 approach. I'm slowly getting into it.
I think we ended up being less able for the caffeinated state as the years went on, but
really, yeah, just decaf.
So you're like, I've spent a lot of time around you over the years, and like you're super high energy and very, very positive. But do you struggle with anything?
I've thought about this loads. Let me try and get my thoughts in order so I can say it in a way that makes sense. I see whenever I'm around people, like, so I remember one time we were with my mate. He was a bit drunk, right? But he was fine. He was totally fine, but he was a bit drunk. And then we're going down to Liverpool, and he kept going like that. He's like, "That's one beautiful looking handbrake you've got there, Mohsen. It'd be a shame if someone pulled it." And I was like, do not pull a handbrake when someone's driving a car on the motorway. I was like, and I just met he's one of my really good mates there, right? I've just met him, and I was like, don't touch this handbrake. And then we're going down. He was like, it's 90% a show. He's like, I'm that bad. I was like, it's just 90% show, 10% I might actually pull that handbrake. but it's like, but with me, with the whole thing, it's like, I'll go out whenever I see people. I do generally get, and it's not like it's a show. I get really excited, and I'm like, this is amazing. I love being around people. I love making people happy. Like I don't have it on. It's like I love that film, The Greatest Showman. It's my favorite film. But it says there's a quote in it, and I have it on like a dog tag that I wear everywhere I go. And it just says the noblest of art is that of making others happy. And I think that's I love that. I'm so into that. So I love being like energetic, really, really positive, really happy, and really, I am genuinely happy to see everybody and really enjoy all the rest of it. But when I go home, I'm just like, I just go like this, and I'm really quiet, and there's nothing. Like I remember I was doing a tour, and it was with our mate Sean Gray, and then I was chatting to one of my mates, And he was like, he's not the Mohsen that you see out, is he? It's like he's always just like kind of chilled out. And I generally am just really chilled out in the van. I'll sit down doing like work or whatever and just be like calm. So like it's not like I wouldn't really struggle with it being positive, the attitude outside. I just have like a balance of it, so it's not all like hyper. It's like it's only at those points it's like all up, and then there are times I have my downtime. You can struggle with it a lot. The thing I struggle with a lot is like people. Because people know you, they judge you straight away. Do you know what I mean? They judge everything. So then they all think, oh, he's crazy. He's absolutely mental. I'm like, well, and then some people take it in like a really positive way, and then some people take it in a negative way. And you're like, you don't even know. You've never even met me. I was like, you can't make an opinion based on like we're not celebrities. You can't you can't make polls about people and think you know what they're doing, who they are, whatever, blah blah. So I'd say like sometimes when you meet people like I met another person. Obviously, I'm good friends with this person. I get meet a lot of people that I get become really good friends with, because we're all really good people and really good fun. And then they were like, I thought you were going to be a bit of a, I'm not going to say it because I want to censor it, but like, I thought you were going to be a bit of a beep. And then, you're actually a really nice guy. I was like, I know! I know I am! I just promote myself because I'm a musician. That's, because people see self-promotion as like, you're ignorant, you're up yourself, you're cocky, blah, blah. But it's like, you don't get pissed off at milk for advertising that it's milk. Do you know what I mean? That's what I am. I'm just milk. So that's the only thing I would struggle with is that sort of thing. But I don't really, being completely honest, I don't really care, because when I know you and you know me, then it's great. But before that, I don't know anyone. I don't until you've reached out. I've never known you, so we don't exist to each other. But when we do meet, we will. It'll be great. It'll be great fun. So that's the only thing that I'd say is a wee niggly point. That in the music career, music in general is a thing. But it's never something that's actually around you. And when it is around you, it's all good. I just find sometimes you have to make a little bit extra effort with people because there's a predetermined idea in their head. Other than that, I'm all fun and games, having a really good time. Genuinely, I have the best life in the world. I absolutely love it. I have a healthy family and get to play the music I love around the world. And it's now starting to really kick off, which is like, it's really fun. It's amazing. So yeah.
That's a fantastic answer and a wonderful way to finish, I think. And yeah. I'm gonna take away that quote: the noble art of making others happy. That's awesome.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's really good.
And if I can say, I think you do a fantastic job at that.
Well, thank you very much. I try my best.
All right.